My name is Seth Pollack. I'm at California State University, Monterey Bay. I'm the professor of service learning and the director of Service Learning Institute here. Now let's look at what is service learning. Service learning integrates meaningful community service or engagement into the curriculum and offers students academic credit for the learning. Now let's get into what learning. Reflection and experiential learning strategies underpin the process, and the service is linked to the academic discipline, and I would add, and inspires students' acquisition of civic and democratic competencies. And in service learning, one of the transformational dimensions of this is that we have common outcomes and common purpose, that there's community benefits and student benefits that communicate and that have a common framework. Now, in the traditional framing of service learning, it still is academic knowledge that's driving this process. Remember the ivory tower, how powerful it is. And so we have academic knowledge that's responding to community challenges. But while we recognize there's some reciprocity, we kind of infer that there's something that's coming back to us from our work in the community. And unfortunately, in the traditional model, that goes largely unexpressed and unexamined in a deep way. What I'm encouraging us is to think about service learning in a richer perspective where we see academic knowledge and community knowledge interacting. And we have this third ring around civic and democratic competences. So that, in fact, service learning is really at the heart of these three spheres of knowledge: our knowledge of our disciplines, community knowledge, and the knowledge of civic and democratic processes that relate to our social and community challenges. And then we have a much richer framework of reciprocity and exchange happening in that context. The Council of Europe has given us a great framework to understand what this looks like from a knowledge perspective. They've developed 20 competences of democratic culture around values and attitudes and skills and knowledge and critical understanding, which really give us a rich framework to do curricular work, which again becomes the hallmark of service learning. So here are just a couple of examples and what that looks like and the impacts that has had in a couple specific cases. So in technology, we have a computer science and technology major. We're just an hour south of Silicon Valley after all, and they are sucking up every one of our graduates as quickly as we can produce them. But our graduates don't just leave as great programmers, because they all have to take a service learning class, which looks deeply at the question of the digital divide and the relationship between technology and inequality. One example, a result of that is one of our graduates, Christian Mendelson, in 2005, founded an organization called Loaves, Fishes, and Computers. Christian realized that there was a real gap between all the technology that folks in the know were using and discarding and the populations that had no access to technology. So he started a project to refurbish computers and make them available to families throughout our region. That group has grown now in the past 15 years. They did amazing, powerful work during the pandemic, providing computers and internet access to families who were at home doing online learning. And it's been a flourishing organization since then. If you're in our business college, you're going to get a business degree, but you're also going to learn about the triple bottom line and how businesses struggle to balance profit and people and the planet, and of course address issues of equity and ethics along the way. Those students are all working with low-income businesses, with communities that are struggling with economic development strategies and processes. And they're also working with flourishing businesses, trying to help diversify and expand their portfolios into areas of economic distress. One result of that was two students Craig Sterling and Tony. Let's see. Uh, yes, Anthony Velasquez and Craig Sterling founded the Cesar Chavez Football Academy in 2014 as they realized that there was a lot of students, young people who had passion for soccer, for football, but no access to places to play or coaching, and that this was having a direct impact on their livelihoods and futures. These two young business students created this nonprofit, which is now in its almost its 10th year and flourishing both in by producing amazing football teams who are challenging throughout the state in championships, but every one of their players is graduating and attending a 4-year university. Why is this so important? We really need to move away from this idea that we have this dichotomy, these opposing and competing narratives in higher education. One about jobs, that we need to help our students become part of the workforce and economic productivity, etc. And a competing narrative around a diverse democracy and the importance of the civic mission and helping students become informed, engaged, responsible citizens. Both of those are important, and I would claim that they're not competing at all. Rather, these are really united in the concept of what we were calling our discipline-based democratic and civic competencies.